Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here. I watched the first episode of Monday Night Raw from 2010. Of course, everybody knows that this is a really big one. From the title of this video, Bret the Hitman Hart returns to WWE. This is something that had been built up over the last 10 years. I believe in 2006 is when Bret sort of laid the groundwork for this to sort of come to fruition. Around that time is when the Ultimate Warrior DVD came out. I believe off the top of my head that might have came out in 2005. That was the negative Ultimate Warrior DVD, not the one that would come out after WrestleMania 30 entitled Always Believe that Warrior actually helped with. This was the one that was sort of put together by, the Brooklyn Brawler, Bruce Pritchard, Bobby Heenan, with just a whole bunch of bad and negative comments about Warrior being a head case. And I think that Bret saw this and basically thought that he was not on the best grounds with Vince or with WWE at the time, so it might be time for him to come calling and try to mend the fences of what is going on with how WWE felt about Bret the Hitman Hart. And from there, Bret, I think, filmed something for Vince's funeral, giving his thoughts on the life of Vince McMahon. I think that he actually filmed something for a Best of Raw anniversary or something like that. But as far as Bret coming back and being in the building, being in the ring, physically a part of WWE, this was the first time that Vince had done anything since the screw job of Montreal back in 1997 Survivor Series. And that is something that honestly has been talked to death, with this year being the 20th year anniversary of that. I'm surprised that Bret didn't come back at Survivor Series and do something with Vince there or something like that, even if it was just backstage, or maybe they're actually trying to put that behind them and actually not really bring that up anymore. But this was a big edition of Monday Night Raw because of the fact that on the other network, on Spike TV, TNA was running live for the first time on Monday night, trying to restart the Monday Night Wars. Of course, at this time, WWE didn't really even have John Cena on the show. They felt that Bret being there with Shawn and with Vince for the first time since '97 was going to be good enough. John Cena was flipping a coin in Arizona at a bowl game, and they didn't need him at this time. They didn't really run. I'm not going to say they didn't run the best shows, but something tells me when you go back and you watch these early editions of Monday Night Raw from 2010 that they were actually hoping that TNA was going to get something off the ground. Of course, at this time, they had a loaded roster with AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, Kevin Nash, Booker T. They had a lot of talent. Samoa Joe was there at the time, Rude, and Storm with Beer Money. TNA really had something going, but for some reason, whether if it was just the Monday Night War was not going to work anymore because you couldn't flip back and forth, you could just simply DVR it. I will honestly tell you, go back and watch my old videos if you don't remember, I watched Impact over Monday Night Raw because I wanted to see what Impact was going to bring to the table, with it being live, to be better than Bret and Shawn, Bret and Vince. I wanted to see what they were going to do, and it seemed like they just ran another show. And I think that Hogan and Abyss wrestled against AJ Styles and Flair on that show in the main event, but nothing was really spectacular. As Bret comes down to the ring, basically Bret gets in there, and you can honestly really tell right off the bat that they're going to do something with Vince versus Bret. Basically Bret says that he's wanted to come back to the company for quite some time, but Vince McMahon is always the guy to put the kibosh on basically bringing him in, with always having an excuse that not at this right time, it doesn't make sense, not right now, and just always pushing him off and pushing him off. Now, here we are, Bret's in the ring, Bret calls out Shawn Michaels, and Shawn comes down to the ring, and there's a lot of animosity between these guys. I know that when you've watched the Bret and Shawn DVD that came out, hosted by Jim Ross, they show you that Bret and Shawn met backstage at catering. I can't remember which one walked up to which, but there was a camera set up there, and you could see their exchange where they had a few quick words, but decided that they wanted to settle it in the ring, and they say that they didn't really have planned out what they were going to say. When Shawn comes down to the ring, basically Bret says that he wants to put it behind him, and Shawn says that he did what he did to Bret because he felt that Bret didn't respect him, and he says that when he thinks about Bret the Hitman Hart, he does respect him. He understands why he did what he did, but he wants to put it behind him. When he thinks about Shawn, he doesn't think about the screw job. He doesn't think about Montreal. He thinks about, basically Anaheim, California, WrestleMania 12, the Iron Man match. The match that no one thought they were going to be able to pull off because it was too long. They wouldn't be able to last that long. They wouldn't be able to keep people's attention. And a lot of people think that that is a top 10 WrestleMania match. Honestly, in my opinion, it's a little bit too long for me since I've seen this match quite a few times, that there's no pinfalls for over an hour. And although there is some really good wrestling, it's just not for me. But basically, they shake hands inside the ring, and as Shawn starts to walk away, he teases hitting him with the sweet chin music, and I think that's exactly what he was trying to do, was just trying to get fans to, oh my God, Bret versus Shawn one more time. But Shawn turns around and he gives Bret a hug right inside of the ring, and he walks away. And Bret immediately calls out Vince McMahon. But as we wait for Vince, WWE goes to commercial. When they come back from commercial, we're greeted basically with a promo basically saying that they're going to be doing Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton as a match on that show, hyping that up. And then we're met with Vince backstage, met by Josh Matthews. From there, basically Vince says that he's just got out of a production meeting and doesn't know why people are looking for him. He doesn't know that Bret is in the ring and has called him out. But basically Vince says that Bret doesn't call the shots around there. Vince is the one who calls the shots, and he's the one who's going to call out Bret later on in the show. And we're going to have to sit and wait to see what goes on with Bret and Vince.